Action.
Hi guys, this is Ichu, Wenyu, Joe, and team presenting the OkCupid case. We're gonna start with some introduction and then our insights. So the purpose of this data mining project is to find some interesting insights based on our OkCupid user data and trying to identify some personas and market segment for our marketing team. For the data cleaning process, we've run some summary statistics and visualizations, and we've examined some data qualities, and we decide to exclude some of the variables such as essay columns, drugs, last online, offspring, religion, science speaks due to unstructured data or low data values. We also find out mainly our users are located around California, so we decided to exclude the users that are outside the California area. We also decide to combine some data sets such as latitude, longitude, and location data to see whether our target users are around like which cities and what's their location. And we also subsetted the relevant variables from census data for our further analysis, which team will tell you later about in his insight. So we located our users using the CSV file for address and longitude and latitude. And find out that mainly our users are located around San Francisco, Oakland, Berkeley, San Mateo, and Atlanta area. So we decided to narrow down for the top 5 cities and to have a more specialized market segment. I'm mainly looking at the lifestyles for our users for diet and pet columns. I find out that around 68% of vegetarian or vegan are animal lovers, and a large percentage of animal lovers are actually, they have their strict diet preference. Because a lot of people who are dating are having difficulty matching with people with their right lifestyles. So I think the segment could be an interesting point for our marketing team to break in. Also for people who are both vegetarian and animal lovers, we have a slightly more female than male, and we have a lot of straight people than gay or bisexual people, which align with our OkCupid database, the user distribution as a whole. Also, I look at the age distribution for animal lovers and vegetarian or vegan. The age distribution is quite similar, which gives us a nice segment for people who would like to date with other people with their similar age. And we have a lot of different professional distribution in this segment, which allows people to meet with others who are different, doing their different jobs. Also, I also look at the sexual orientation for animal lovers and vegetarian. They are pretty similar, and for each segment, whether they're vegan or vegetarian or they like dog or cats, we can find some people within either bisexual or gay segment or straight people segment. So I think for all the people in our OkCupid users, and for all the sexual orientations and all the male and female, we could find someone who will be interested in dating with similar people with same lifestyles. So I think that will be interesting for our marketing team to look at. and then we'll hand it to Wen for her insight.
Great.
Can I?
Yeah, you'll have to stop sharing. And this is when you, I am going to present a few slides on some interesting insights and recommendations based on professions data as a starting point. Joe, could you close out sharing?
I've closed it, right?
No, you have to. Yes, great. Right now you have. Great. So profession is a very important data set in dating and matching. Professional groups tend to have very similar interests and lifestyles, and providing valuable information regarding the fit between people. Also, marketing team can benefit from statistics around professions to identify which groups they should target to maximize their marketing and advertisement impact. So first, looking at the professions data, I have categorized the all different types of professions into 5 major categories, which represent close to 70% of the cleaned data set. That gives us a good starting point. Then I started doing deeper analysis to look at each profession and their interests and preferences, and you can see there are quite some differences across different profession groups. So there are 2 recommendations that came out from analysis. One is based on the imbalance of male and female ratio within different professions. The second one is based on income differentials. So as you can see from this chart, the male-female ratio within tech is very imbalanced. For each female users on the OkCupid platform, there are 4.5 males. That's the case for the tech community. However, the ratio, male to female ratio, is less than 1 for both academics and medicine industries. So how can we help them to meet? So I find that, interestingly, there are common grounds within both tech and medicine, as well as tech and academia, which is helpful information. For example, within tech and medicine, both actually are one of the more favored type of profession within the Asian community, which means if OkCupid helped to create events around Chinese New Year or K-pop, other Asian-related culture and food, that might help to provide a good venue for people from these imbalanced industry to meet each other. Between tech and academia, these 2 professions actually represent the 2 groups that have the lowest age distribution, or the lowest average age, and there's a high overlap between the age distribution among tech and people in academia, and that provides, lots of potential common interests. So the main idea here is that if OkCupid help to put together a meetup or speakers event around tech and healthcare that's targeting both students, researchers, and professionals, could potentially help to create meaningful and conversation and foster organic, healthy relationship building. At the same time, also provide knowledge sharing among the professional and student groups that are interested in technology and healthcare. So the second idea is focus on high income group, which we think is where the resources are and where the OkCupid's marketing team should focus on. This group is identifying this information can help with branding, marketing, raising awareness of and like fundraising as well as advertisement targeting, and can help us to find where the most eligible bachelors and bachelorettes are. So looking at the average reported income, the art community actually has the highest within this group, and that art and entertainment community also has the highest income disclosure ratio for more than 20%. While through further analysis, we can see that within the art and entertainment community, there's more people who are vegetarian or vegan and are pet lovers, and also most of them do drink at least socially. So we think identifying these is very important to help us to attract these people to our potential events. So the key to event planning for these for this population are, we can do it in vineyards or wine gallery or in art performance venue. Some potential topics could be related to pets and wine or art, and should definitely create an opportunity for people to have social, to drink, as well as make sure that there are vegetarian and vegan options provided for these events. So that is some quick findings and recommendations that I'd like to provide based on the professions data as a starting point. So now I'm going to pass the mic on to Joe.
Thank you, Wenyu. Just let me bring up my presentation here. So the issue I'm talking about is a subset of OkCupid's population who doesn't drink. Meeting for drinks tends to be a very common date idea among couples, and we wanted to really explore what happens or what we could do for those people who prefer not to drink and therefore typically don't meet at bars. We think that there is actually a great opportunity to engage these people in a variety of different ways, because there's no set societal expectations for how they are going to meet and engage with each other. And so this could be interesting for marketers who want to attract them to different elements of the community, whether that be a dance class or a museum or concerts or something of the sort. So in order to understand this population, we looked at them based upon demographics, mainly their gender and orientation, in addition to socioeconomic factors, including education and income. If we were to look at it by gender, there's a relatively similar portion of prevalency rates for non-drinkers between men and women. And although contrary to popular belief, men tend to abstain from drinking slightly more frequently than women. If we were to break this down by orientation, we can see that the prevalency rate of non-drinking is actually lowest for straight individuals and it's highest for bisexuals, with gays somewhere in between. If we dig further down into the subgroups and the demographics, we can see that bisexual men are those who abstain from drinking the most, followed by gay females. And this is particularly interesting because females tend to abstain from drinking less in other subgroups, but among the gay community, their prevalency rate for not drinking is the highest, while conversely, men tend to abstain from drinking more frequently in other subgroups, but in the gay cohort, they have the lowest drinking abstinence rate among the LGBT community. And one interesting way that OkCupid can engage with their user base who decide not to drink is by hosting events. As you can see, when you drill down into subgroups of subgroups of subgroups, populations become quite small. So for something like gay females in particular, they had a fairly high prevalency of abstaining from drinking, but they have an overall low population size. So it can be hard for these individuals to meet, and by hosting kind of lifestyle positive or drink or alcohol-free events, they could engage them more in the community. Looking at socioeconomic factors, in particular education, we see that there's a skew in the distribution of non-drinking prevalency rates by education. In particular, non-drinking is the most prevalent with those with less than high school education, and there's a definitive skew with those who have less than a college education. And we believe that these prevalency rates could be driven by some of these individuals having been in recovery and therefore having never graduated from high school. Whereas if you get after college, and college has the lowest prevalency rate for not drinking, we can see that then it picks back up again. And similarly for income levels, the income levels of non-drinkers are lower than those for drinkers, and we believe that this has to do with the effects of education and income. And because of that skew and the high prevalency rates for non-drinking among those with lower levels of education, this is impacting the overall population's income. So in terms of what OkCupid can do to engage these individuals, we think this is kind of an interesting segment, as I had said before, because they tend not to drink and therefore don't meet at bars for dates and could do other things in the community. So in particular, OkCupid has the ability to engage this cohort in an ecosystem, and that can be through events, lifestyle positive events such as daybreakers or other events, which seems to be an emerging trend, in addition to providing communities for some cohorts which can be relatively small. As we had seen, particularly among gay females, a large percentage of them tended not to drink, but there's an overall small percentage of gay females. So it can be difficult for them to meet, and by hosting events, they can really form a community. In addition, because of the skew of education and income distributions among non-drinkers, there might be the ability to provide outreach to these, in particular for those folks who might be in recovery. OkCupid has the ability to kind of help them in the process, in addition to engaging with the community and possibly matching people up as well. And for those who have lower levels of education, we think that they could engage them for poverty alleviation efforts or for skill upgrading, because they tended not to have as much education. Thank you. And I'll pass it over to Tim now, who will take
Great, thank you, Joe. Great, thank you, Joe. So let me share my screen. There we go. Put it on presenter mode. All right. So for the fourth and last insight we would like to share with you today, we took a somewhat different approach. So we all know that OkCupid is about bringing people together to find love, make friendships, and share interesting stories and passions. But we also know that there are still many people that are alone. And loneliness, especially among elderly, is a serious social problem. Actually, it was recently found by a study by the University of San Francisco that loneliness can be lethal for seniors. So it's really a serious problem for us as a society to worry about. Today, we would like to argue that OkCupid is actually perfectly positioned to leverage this platform and find the loneliness problem among seniors to make an impact that matters. We believe so, but because OkCupid has a huge, interesting user base consisting of over 5 million active users, has 1 million plus app installs per week. There are over 7 million messages sent per day. And at this very moment, there are about 160K people online. So we started by looking at the census data. And this data allowed us to identify the number of seniors that are living alone for 109 cities in California. So we're looking at male and female seniors of 65 years or older who are living alone. And the summary statistics learn us that there's actually quite some variety in the percentage of one-person senior households, ranging from close to 0 to up to 10%. When we take a closer look at this data, And when we identify the top 5 cities in California with the highest ratio of seniors, we actually see that there are 3 cities from the Bay Area in this set, being Oakland, Paradise, and San Francisco. We selected these top 5 cities based on a selection criteria, mean plus 2 times standard deviation. So we're really looking at the outer edge of the distribution curve. What's interesting, of course, is that OkCupid has a strong user base in the Bay Area, and San Francisco and Oakland in particular. We already learned that from the presentation by Joe earlier this session. Actually, 65% of the total users of OkCupid in California are located in these 2 cities. And that makes San Francisco and Oakland perfect cities to start a pilot to address the loneliness problem. But how are we going to segment and target the right users? Well, we stumbled on some interesting research. And that research indicates the positive benefits of dog ownership for senior adults. And it can actually be beneficial to health and well-being to interact with a dog. But we know that taking care of a pet is, of course, not feasible for everyone. So this is our suggestion. Our suggestion is to design a campaign for a Share Your Dog program, targeting OkCupid users in Oakland and San Francisco based on dog ownership. And from the OkCupid database, we were able to identify that there are about 4,500 dog owners in San Francisco and Oakland. So that's a really good number. We also learned that the median dog owner is about 30 years old. And that's actually great because this allows us to connect the younger population of these 2 cities with the senior population and bridge between the 2 generations. Finally, we also learned that about 40% of the dog owners have body type fit or athletic. And this provides confidence and support that a great number of the users, the dog owners, actually have the energy and maybe also the drive to contribute to a solution for the loneliness problem. So in summary, we think that OkCupid has a great opportunity to leverage its platform to fight the loneliness problem, and by doing so, make a positive impact on society. Thank you.